Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.
Welcome to St. Louis on the Air. I'm Holly Edgell. Next week, the annual Grand Center Theater Crawl returns for the 7th year. The 2-day pop-up theater experience will take place in and around Grand Center for patrons to explore new venues while enjoying about 15-minute performances by over 20 local theater companies. It's a lot of numbers. It was founded in 2013 and started with 5 theater companies that performed right here in St. Louis Public Radio's community room. This year, 26 theater companies are participating in 19 venues. While this event is presented by St. Louis Public Radio, that's not why we're doing this segment. We're doing it because it's interesting and fun. Here to talk about the event and what it will entail are Peggy Holly, the event's founder and lead volunteer organizer, Mark Abels, treasurer of the West End Players Guild, and Chris Limber, artistic director of Prison Performing Arts. Peggy, Mark, and Chris, welcome.
Hi. Good to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, Peggy, I'm going to start with you. This kind of theater experience did not begin as a crawl. Tell us about that.
Well, Holly, this experience grew out of some community outreach endeavors that St. Louis Public Radio had pulled together in the 2011 timeframe. And this was an idea that finally bubbled to the surface in 2013 when we pulled together, as you mentioned, 5 theater companies and found 250 people who came to see live theater. So we clearly had struck a community nerve in terms of the interest in seeing the potential.
And who is it? Who comes to the crawl? Is it all age groups, families?
Our demographics are all over the map. We have literally, in 2018, we had 112 zip codes in the metro area represented and 13 states.
Wow. Chris, I'm going to go to you. First of all, tell me about Prison Performing Arts, and then I'm going to ask you another question after that.
Prison Performing Arts is a theater and arts education organization that's been around for over 2 decades, started by Agnes Wilcox, who is the founder and artistic director. She's no longer with us, but when she retired, I was fortunate enough to have her request that I take over her position. And what we do is take theater to 3 different prisons in the Missouri prison system and 6 juvenile justice facilities. We have a extensive youth program, and we do productions, and we also do poetry work in the prisons, and are expanding to do music and dance in the next year as well.
And what's it been like to take part in the theater crawl for you?
Well, we were one of the original companies, and it's a dynamic and delightful experience. Our alumni company, which is comprised of re-entering individuals who had formerly worked with us in prison, put together shows for the St. Louis area, and we perform a 15-minute segment of a show every year, and we reach between 300 and 500 people over the course of one evening, which means that 1,000 people will see our company during the 2 nights, and they get a chance to not only see a 15-minute performance, but also talk to us and ask questions about our company and what we do. And it's, as Peg said, it's a real cross-section of people from all over the city, which is excellent for us.
Mark, what's the process like in conveying a story in 15 minutes or thereabouts?
Well, it's just a taste of theater, and that's what this whole event is about. It's a smorgasbord. You can come in one night, and you have to. It's hard because you have to pick 6 or 7 of those 26 companies you're going to sit down and see, but you get a little taste of what they do. And you learn about things that you don't know are going on in St. Louis. I've had a lot of friends come who, they're big on theater. They go to the Rep, they go to the Muni, they go to the Fox, they go to New York once a year to see musicals. And they come to the theater crawl and they're stunned to find that there are at least 24 professional theater companies doing great work in St. Louis that they haven't been exposed to. And they meet them and they love them. And they start to go see them. And that's the kind of friends we want to make, and that's why we're here.
It seems like conveying a slice of theater in 15 minutes would be hard for the director, the actors. I mean, what is the dynamic of getting someone ready for that?
Well, the dynamic is you have to be familiar with the whole show, and then in our case, we pick out a scene that will give you a taste of that show, and we present that, and we rehearse that, and we polish it up. We keep it sort of small because the venues are small, and we hope that people will like it enough that they'll come buy a ticket and come back for more. Now, other companies do it other ways. Some will do a musical number or a couple of musical numbers. Some will do improv, and of course that's something that really works well in a situation like this. It's all over the board, and it's a lot of fun to see. And it doesn't cost you a penny.
What's your bonus?
We are previewing a piece that we're writing for the St. Louis Public Library called Kept Away, which deals with incarceration and maintaining your family relationships when you're incarcerated. And we'll be presenting 6 or 7 monologues from the working draft. So it's a chance for us to try out new material and to see what the reaction is, and to allow the audience to know that they're the first ones to see this particular piece of work.
And what venue will you be at?
We're in the Vaughn Cultural Center.
And for people who are not familiar, where is that?
And the exact address?
That is on Grandel Square, just west of the Sun Theater. So it's in the Urban League building.
I should mention that the show we're doing is called Equivocation. It's by Bill Kane. It's never before seen in St. Louis. And it's a story about Shakespeare. It's historical fiction. When Shakespeare is handed a commission by the king to write a play that tells the story of a plot against the king, and Shakespeare finds out that the king isn't exactly leveling with the story, and he has to make some difficult choices about telling the truth or getting his head lopped off. It's a thriller, and it's good.
Peggy, can you give us the mechanics of how the crawl works? Are the plays do they all happen at the same time, and you get what you can, or do they one follows the other and people can go from play to play? What does it look like on the ground?
So each theater company is assigned to a venue for one of the 3 time slots: Friday evening, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. And each one does 6 short performances on the hour and half hour all evening, so that the audience then sees a short performance. They have 10 minutes to get to the next venue. And you have the opportunity then to see 6 different shows in any one of the 3 time slots. And for those who are doing the math, that's an opportunity to see 18 shows. And yes, we have 24 performances. You cannot see it all.
Wow, that sounds like a fascinating thing to have to pull together. Probably hard work, too.
We are delighted to partner with Paraquad. They are actually providing shuttle buses for people who may have mobility challenges or just don't get around well in the heat. So that makes it easier to navigate the footprint.
It's really fun for the actors, too, because they get to perform 6 times throughout the evening. And it's one right after the other, and it's 6 different audiences. And the audiences are always very excited because they know they have to get up and move to another theater. So they're completely attuned to the performance, and then they're ready to run.
That sounds like fun. I'd like to invite our listeners into the conversation. If you have a question or comment about the theater crawl, give us a call. Here's the number, 314-382-8255. That's 382-TALK. You can send us a tweet at STL On Air, or you can even email us at talk@stlpublicradio.org. So if you love theater or if you have questions about how this all works, let us know. We want to talk to you. What else, Peggy, is involved with the crawl? Are there refreshments? What else can people expect?
We are this year partnering with a number of restaurants in the Grand Center district. We will have specials, so if you wander into the Dark Room or Urban Chestnut and show your program, there are specials available. There will be restaurants that will be providing food in Strauss Park. So there will be food readily available at one of the 3 registration sites.
So we've heard a little preview of 2 of the plays. Can you tell us about some of the other stories that will be coming to life?
Well, we have everything from original work. So the one company is doing, the Midnight Company is doing a show called Patient Number 47. And that is, again, brand spanking new, not having been seen before. And we have the Sate Company co-producing with ERA Antigone, an ancient classic. So, and literally everything in between. St. Louis is really gifted with an extraordinarily rich and vibrant theater scene. There are people who have estimated that we have over 50 professional theater companies, not including colleges and community theaters. And live theater really is the shop local alternative for your entertainment dollars. Because when you buy a ticket to live, that money stays here in the community.
I'm really intrigued by that notion of this sort of thriving professional theater company scene that, to your point, some people don't even know about. What drives it? Maybe I'll go with you, Mark. What drives it, and where's it going, do you think?
There are a lot of people in St. Louis who have backgrounds in theater. Maybe they studied theater in college. They're not able to pursue it sometimes as a full-time vocation, but they spend their lives in it as an avocation. And these are the kinds of people you find who are doing these shows. The pay is modest, but the fun is real, and the artistic challenges are great and very, very rewarding. Some people talk about church theater, church basement theater. Well, it just so happens our West End Players Guild is in a church basement at the Union Avenue Christian Church. We're the downstairs show. The Union Avenue Opera is upstairs at the Union Avenue Christian Church, and we always say it's the most fun you'll ever have in a church basement.
And you told us about your play. Tell us the venue where you'll be.
We will be at the Grand Center Arts Academy cafeteria, which is the entrance is directly across Grand Avenue from Powell Hall. It's at the corner of Grand and Grandel Square.
And Chris, what can you tell me about what your observations about the theater, professional theater scene in St. Louis?
Well, I came here in 1979. I got hired at the Rep as an actor, and when I came here, there were 3 professional theaters. There was the Rep Theater Project Company and some shows at the Barn Dinner Playhouse, which was a dinner theater. And what's been exciting over the past 40 years is to see the growth in theater companies. There are so many small professional theaters here. There's a special equity contract that serves them. There are a number of professional non-equity theaters that do exceptional work. And a lot of people who go to the coast for a while and decide they don't like living on the coast come back to St. Louis because it's a great place to live, great place to raise a family, wonderful schools and so forth. And you can have a thriving artistic career here with the kind of theater that goes on.
And you can afford to buy a house.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Peggy, can you mention some of the other venues that are involved?
So our venues include here at St. Louis Public Radio, we will have 4 spaces inside the Kransberg Arts Center. That includes the Grand Center location of Craft Alliance. We will be in the lobby of the Metropolitan Building. We will be in Miss M's Candy Boutique. We will be in the Hotel Ignacio. We will be in the International Photography Hall of Fame. We will be Friday night in Washington Tabernacle Baptist Church. We will be in the Urban Chestnut Brewing Company. We have space Saturday night, which is a new space for us, in the rehearsal studio of the Big Muddy Dance Company. So for those who are interested in seeing that kind of space, that will be a very good opportunity to spot that. So we will be in the Curtain Call Lounge at the Fabulous Fox. It's all over,
literally
Third
all over
Baptist
the
Church,
map.
literally all over the map. And again, that's why we've worked to have the shuttles available to help people negotiate the footprint.
It's another exciting thing to see how alive and frequent theater is here in Grand Center. Back when Chris and I were young men, the Grand Center theater scene was the Fox and the Fox. And nowadays there are a dozen great theater venues right around St. Louis Public Radio here, all of which were presenting some great work.
And speaking of the venues, how do you match up venue with play?
Well, this is intended to be pop-up theater.
Yes.
So we do not have lots of elaborate sets or costumes or lighting. And so it is, for the most part, random. But we do try to make sure that we've matched content for those venues that might be sensitive to mature content. And other than that, we also try to move every company every year. So Mark can say he has not been in the same space twice, neither has Chris.
That's right. That's right. Which makes it exciting and fun. And the other wonderful attribute of the theater crawl is that you can really get to know the neighborhood. If you're not really familiar with Grand Center, you have a chance to see 18 different wonderful spaces, and there are many.
We have a caller, CJ in St. Louis. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for taking my question. I just wanted to know, just because of the day and age that we live in and people wanting to see themselves on television, film, and on the stage, was there a conscious decision from you guys, the organizers, on diversity, picking plays and pieces that showcase diversity?
Thank you. Who wants to take that one?
Well, thank you for the question, CJ. It's what we have done is to specifically try to work with all of our community. So our performers, our companies select their own material, but we will have performances by TLT Productions, by JPEK Creative Works, that is Joel King's company. RS Theatrics and Theater Nuevo have been a part of the crawl in prior years and just couldn't pull it off this time. So we've really worked to try to represent the full breadth and depth of St. Louis professional theater.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Great. Well, that sounds good, and I'm familiar with Joel King's work, and I really appreciate you answering that question, and I'm happy that you guys choose diversity. It's important.
CJ, you're going to go to the theater crawl?
I actually did not know about it, but now that I've heard about it on NPR, I think I might try to make it.
Okay, well, thanks for the call.
That's great.
Thank
Here we
you
go.
very much.
Radio works.
It does. So does a theater crawl. That's why we love it.
I wanted to get from Chris and Mark, how do you decide what play you're going to use year over year, Chris?
Well, we, with our alumni company, usually develop a new show every year. So the show we develop is the show that we bring to the theater crawl. There have been former years that we've developed a piece specifically for the theater crawl. One year we did a piece based on Shakespeare called Shakespeare's Moons, and it was all about material that had to do with the moon. And that was done outside at the Centene Center. So.
Very good. And what about you, Mark?
Well, our interest in the theater crawl is very selfish. We want to meet lots of people who will come to our shows in the season that starts in September. So we start with looking at the schedule we have for the coming year, and we pick a show to excerpt, which first of all can give us an excerpt that makes sense. Second, will fit the space that we're going to be in. And third, will be fun to watch and can be presented in, what was that again, 15 minutes at the most. And this year that's Bill Kane's Equivocation, and we think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I can tell that this is something that you're passionate about, this theater in general, but the crawl specifically. What keeps it exciting for you, Mark?
You know, that's an interesting question. As I was telling Peggy before the show, I've been involved in the theater crawl for 5 years now, but I've never really been to the theater crawl because I'm stuck in one spot all night working. One of these years, I'm gonna skip the working and go to the theater crawl. But what is really exciting for me is we're very small. Our venue is very small. We seat about 60 people. We will see 5 times that in one night at the theater crawl. So we get to meet a lot of new friends, and that shows up in our ticket receipts when we get the season underway in the fall.
We do most of our performance work in prisons, and we have a public showing of the works that we do with incarcerated artists. And people from the theater crawl learn about us, learn about the work that we do, and have actually come to some of the prison shows as a result. So it's a wonderful way to market what our theater does.
What about you? You do this on a volunteer basis, right, Peggy?
Yes.
How do you keep
that's
motivated?
Correct. It's the excitement of the artistry. The audience, and there were almost 3,000 people in 2018, they don't come for the signs, they don't come for the programs, they don't come for the ads that show up in the programs. They come to see live theater, and they come for the magic that all of these performers generate. And it's wonderful to see the sheer joy on the faces of audience members as they transit and talk about what they've seen. The energy is very, very impressive.
You can feel it when the audience comes in.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little out of breath because they've been to another venue, and they sit down and they're wide-eyed and excited to see something new. And of course, they're going to see 6 different theater companies within a 3-hour time span, which is an amazing feat.
We only have a few seconds left. What if it storms this weekend?
It's not this weekend.
Oh, next weekend.
It's next weekend.
All of our venues are indoors, and those shuttles will be there to help everybody get around the footprint. But we are a rain or shine event.
Excellent. Good to know. I've got to wrap it up. I wanted to thank Peggy Holly, Grand Center Theater Crawl founder and lead volunteer organizer, Mark Abels, treasurer of the West End Players Guild, and Christopher Limber, artistic director of Prison Performing Arts, for joining us today. This year's Grand Center Theater Crawl will be next Friday, June 28th, Saturday, June 29th, across various venues in Grand Center. This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio, 90.7 FM, KWMU.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.
The Gateway brings you the day's news from the St. Louis region and across Missouri. It also includes stories from the Illinois side of the river and our Metro East reporter, Will Bauer.
In Alton, in Belleville, in East St. Louis, in Edwardsville, in Cahokia Heights, at Scott Air Force Base, I'm Will Bauer, St. Louis Public Radio.
Listen to reports from Will and all of our journalists weekdays on the Gateway, on the STLPR app, and wherever you get podcasts.